Oh, hey guys! Remember when last year I started a retrospective on Attack on Titan on top of posting a bunch of Attack on Titan related videos because I and many other people thought for certain that the anime was coming to an end? Even though Attack on Titan the final season part 1 covered the first half of the remaining chapters after Attack on Titan season 3 part 2, but Mappa, just being the gift that keeps on giving, decided to leave 9 chapters left over after Attack on Titan the final season part 2. Only to then be adapted in Attack on Titan the final season final edition part 1 and 2. Well, thank God artificial intelligence is a thing, so that way I can feed my voice into a machine so that by the time the sun had already exploded and the earth had suffered major catastrophic events from the moon colliding into it, technological advancements can accurately predict my thoughts on Shin Super Attack on Titan Turbo Champion Edition Z the final season part 75 episode 3.1 the movie part 4 director's cut the next Eren's counterattack RX Redux when it arrives. In this one, Eren faces his greatest enemy yet, the Internal Revenue Service. But with that out of the way, throughout this retrospective, I mentioned several of the Attack on Titan spin-offs like No Regrets and Lost Girls, so I'm gonna take this time to specifically look at the OVAs that serve as supplementary material for the anime and were released between seasons. I'll also be going over each one by the order of release, cause, well, it just makes sense that way. That said, here is my retrospective on the Attack on Titan OVAs. First up, we have Eels Notebook, released after the first season. This one is actually adapted from a side story that appears in Volume 5 before Chapter 19, making this the only OVA in this bunch to actually have not only been originally written by Hajime Isayama, but comes from the manga itself. This OVA was also directed by Hirokazu Yamada, known for his work on Skullman, Better Man, and Cowboy Bebop, and written by Attack on Titan anime writer Hiroshi Seko, who is a writer for the upcoming Gamera anime? Alright, looks like we're in for peak. After coming across an abnormal Titan, Levi's squad finds a notebook that belonged to a former scout named Eels, whose body was left inside of a tree? The notebook was essentially a personal diary, as well as a documentation on a Titan she had encountered, thus providing more information as to how the Titans behave. Turns out that Titans can speak? Well, that totally isn't creepy at all. In fact, this whole encounter is just disturbing, as it not only has some really deep foreshadowing as to what would come later, but the implications are just insane to think about. If you're gonna watch any of the OVAs, check this one out. Definitely some great side material that adds to the overall narrative. Up next, The Sudden Visitor, directed by Attack on Titan anime director Hiroyuki Tanaka, and also written by Seko. Looks like Jean's got mommy issues. Best thing about this one is the opening being re-edited to feature Jean instead of Eren. Jean gets his panties in a bunch about his performance during training and provokes Sasha. A drunk Pixis sees this go down and calls for a cook-off between the two. Whoever cooks the finest dish, wins. Just wins. So the two get their parties together, with Reiner and Kanye on Sasha's team, and Armin and Annie with Jean, as they search for the elusive colossal boar. Yes, there is a giant boar in this anime, and it's played completely straight. You know, after watching season 4, I can just imagine that Reiner is having the time of his life right now. Sasha, being raised as a hunter, gets the score, and Jean, as you would imagine, is not happy. Sometime before the cook-off is to commence, Jean's mom visits, and goddamn, he's a fucking asshole. Jean then gets the idea to steal meat from the higher-ups, resulting in Armin using weaponized incompetence that gets him hurt, and Annie backing out altogether. Jean feels hopeless before he instead decides to cook the mother of all omelets, just like the way his mom makes them. The cook-off comes, and oh god, Pixis is really off his rocker. Someone come get their grandpa. Oh hey look, foreshadowing. And to everyone's surprise, despite Sasha cooking some delicious meat, Jean wins the cook-off. Ha! You see, Cole? How does it feel seeing your waifu lose at a cook-off? How does it feel? All in all, this one was fun. It's nice to see more of the training arc as we really get to know these characters more. I like the moment where Eren tries comforting Jean after his mom came, knowing what he's been through. And I also dig the gag sketches that break up the OVA. It's worth a watch. Alright, Distress. Also directed by Tanaka and written by Noboru Takagi. Oh no, some ODM gets stolen and Krista is taken as hostage and the cadets gotta get her back. Also, this may or may not have been part of their training. Yeah, this one's kinda nothing. I take back what I said about the training arc. Okay, now we're really getting into the good stuff. I said in my part 3 retrospective that I didn't really care much for Levi until that season, and man, I really wish I saw this when it came out, cause god damn! No Regrets, or A Choice with No Regrets, is an adaptation of the spin-off manga No Regrets by Hikaru Tsuruga and Gunsnark. The story is set before the anime and focuses on Levi and how he met Erwin as well as his upbringing in the scout regiment. It was also split into 2 parts, with Masashi Koizuka and Shintaro Itoga directing the first, and Tetsuro Araki, Masayuki Miyagi, and Shintaro Itoga, again, directing the second, with Yasuko Kobayashi writing both. Turns out Levi was a bit of a hoodlum, living in an underground city and pulling off mischief with Farland Church and Isabel Magnolia, in possession of stolen ODM gear. The gang gets captured and are taken in by Erwin, which also angers the higher-ups, thinking his faith in their physical capabilities is misplaced. But that may or may not actually be the case, as Levi was tasked by a higher-up named Nicholas to steal a document that belonged to Erwin and kill him. Oh look, they do the Death Note thing. Get it? Because Attack on Titan was directed under Death Note director Tetsuro Araki when Wit was animating it? Am I the only one who points this stuff out? Then we get to the 23rd expedition. The scouts find themselves surrounded by fog, danger could come at any moment, and the soldiers have no real way to navigate or even pinpoint one another. Levi, who was committed to carry out his mission, decides to go back for Farland and Isabel, only to be greeted by their corpses, for they have died at the hands of an abnormal, triggering Levi to just go insane. He really tortures this Titan before killing it. Seeing Levi like this is honestly terrifying and sad, as it adds so much weight to his character when you look back at the main story. We also find out that Erwin knew about Levi's plan and that Nicholas had already been exposed, all while Erwin is stopping Levi by grabbing a hold of his blade with his bare hand. God, what a goat. Erwin tells Levi that no matter what, death will only await him. We never know the consequences of our actions, and that in his situation, making choices he will end up regretting will lead him to a path where his fate is in someone else's hands. He must dictate his own fate, for he is the only one who can move himself forward. So then Levi continues to pursue Erwin, and this interaction really tells us a lot about their dynamic. This was such a good OVA. It was an excellent way to really develop Levi in an area that really allowed him to flourish while also adding more context to his actions. I say check this out too. Alright, time for Lost Girls, based on the manga by Ryosuke Fuji, released within the duration of Season 3. First up is a side story featuring Annie taking place before the 57th expedition. This one was also split into 2 parts, with Satonobu Kikuchi with the first, and Yoshihide Ibata with the second. Seko, again, writing both. Annie is sent by the military police to investigate the disappearance of a woman named Carly Stratman. It's honestly nice to see more of what goes on within Walsina, as well as the different characters that live within. The investigation takes some twists and turns and results in Annie uncovering more corruption within the government, and that there's more to Carly Stratman's disappearance than she initially thought. This Annie side story is a fun one. It's a very enjoyable break from the usual high-octane action and monster battles that the series is known for, and opts for something more contained, and stands well enough on its own. Then we get to the Mikasa one, directed by Tanaka and written by Seko. This one opens up during the events of Season 3, starting off with some foreshadowing 1 minute in, as Mikasa starts to reminisce about her parents before they were killed, as well as when she met Eren for the first time, plus the other times he had saved her, while also adding more insight into the bond they share. It's pretty nice and wholesome, actually. Eren only has one friend? Wow, what a loser. And then the OVA starts to constantly reuse footage and animation from Season 1, and wait a minute. This is the exact same scene from Episode 1, but without Armin. What's going on here? Did Moses die twice? Did he have a twin brother who was also named Moses? The same hecklers from the same episode are here too. What's happening? What's next? Eren giving Mikasa his scarf under completely different circumstances? What? Okay, listen, this made a lot more sense in the live action films, because even then the scarf has some form of emotional weight and significance to it. This completely retcons that emotional weight and significance of the scarf here. In fact, this entire OVA is just a retcon of episode 1. Wait, Mirror Man? Yeah, this OVA is kinda bullshit, but separating the anime from it, it's okay. But, you know, I'd probably check it out sometime after the anime is done. If you read the manga, you know what I'm talking about. And there you have the Attack on Titan OVAs. Some were good, some were great, some were Regardless, considering how expansive the world of Attack on Titan is, it's very refreshing to take a break from the main story once in a while and see these other microcosms that either play a role in it or not. And hey, if the final season doesn't cock tease us again like last time, I might actually finish this anime retrospective this year. Worst case, I'll see you guys after Attack on Titan, the final season, final edition, part 2.1. But what do you guys think? Have you seen the Attack on Titan OVAs? Liking the final season so far? Drop a comment below, and I want to give a very special shout out to my channel members and my supporters on Patreon. So if you like what you see, then consider supporting the channel with a link in the description, where for at least a single $1 you can get access to my Discord server, and you can also unlock other perks like early access to videos and exclusive content. Feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and this is TitanGoji, signing off.
Why you ain't accept my friend request, bro?